My very first job
First
was...
thing I ever got paid
My
to do.
first job
Very first thing
was-
I ever got paid to do.
So I had two first-time
You want
jobs.
like first job, like 16 first jobs.
I began my working career as a paperboy. So every morning at 5:45 a.m., I woke up, got on my bicycle, and rode for about 2 hours delivering newspapers through snow, rain, whatever elements there were.
My first real job was a newspaper route at 6 in the morning.
My first job was as a young guy delivering groceries from a grocery store called Aldale Cash Grocery.
My first real job was when I turned 16, I worked at Winn-Dixie. I was a bag boy, and I bagged groceries, I cleaned bathrooms, and I swept floors.
I worked at Disneyland, and I was in the Main Street ice cream parlor as a waitress.
My first job was in retail and a boutique selling clothing.
First job was, I can't believe it's yogurt.
My first job was with the peanut shop.
I sold popcorn and peanuts at the Mid-South Coliseum.
The first job that I ever had was a job at Mr. Fish.
I was a furniture mover for a long time. I honestly felt like I would never be able to do anything else. I felt like that was it for me, and eventually my body was going to give out.
My brother and I had a lawn mowing business.
I was actually employed at a local YMCA, and I took care of little kids.
I started waiting tables. I can tell you that I started out as an architect student at the university that needed a job to help pay for school.
Once I had graduated from high school, because I'd always wanted to be an architect, I had taken drafting. My dad worked at NASA in Houston, and so he knew that there were some contractors that were actually preparing maintenance manuals for the space shuttle. So they needed draftsmen, so I drafted over the summer for the space shuttle. I worked at NASA on the site. In fact, my dad drove a motorcycle to work every day, and so I actually rode on the motorcycle with him. So
I actually started in the industry in 1984. I was introduced to the Council for Airport Opportunity, which is the same company I work for now. However, back in those days, they had a pilot program that just started at LaGuardia. I became part of the team. I was a customer service agent. I was one of the first agents they hired.
Started here as the temp. So I did my 10 months as a temp. I got hired on full time. During that transition, I had a very earth-shattering question. What is Smith & Nephew to me? Is Smith & Nephew my job, or is Smith & Nephew my career? I said Smith & Nephew is going to be my career.
The first job I ever got paid to do, I think I was about 8 years old. And actually, I got paid $5 to sample bubble gum.
The skills that I learned in that first job were time management, organization, and that working with family is probably not the best long-term idea.
It was the first job that I said, this is not what I want to do. You got batter everywhere and you smell like fish, and it was just one of those jobs where that was the motivation for me to say, there's something better out there.
Kind of learning how to be responsible and do things and do tasks and show up, be on time, get the job done.
I don't think there's a better school than that, because you really have to think on your feet constantly about how you keep clients happy.
Get responsibility and bring in your own check. I worked there for a little while, got into management within that job.
And I stayed with the customer service end of it for years. That's how I sort of grew in the industry. I moved up from an agent to management.
Those managerial skills, they transfer to anywhere you go, right? You learn working with the team, you learn how to lead without trying to dictate.
The opportunity in waiting tables to get to meet lots of people, and in turn, there was lots of cash as tips on the table. All of a sudden, the things that interested me began to help form what would end up being my future career.
Interacting with people on a daily basis is where I learned how to communicate with people, where I learned how to ask the right questions and to really be genuine.
Don't work to try to impress anyone else. Do it because you're doing it, and this is what you have to do, and because you're passionate about it.
Apply yourself in anything you do. Be passionate about it. If you're doing something you're not passionate about, try to find something you are very passionate about, because I think you're always better at things that you're passionate about.
There are no easy jobs. Every job's a hard job. Hard jobs are relative. I might have gotten $5 for tasting gum, but it's bad gum.
Every job is a job, but how to make every job a joy? Job one is job one, and if you don't do job one well, you'll never get to job 4 or 2 or 7.
But keep going, keep chewing that hard gum, because at the end of the day, you're gonna get your $5 reward. Because with that $5, I was able to buy some really nice gum.
For years after I ended my paper route, people would approach me and say, "You were the best paper boy we ever had." And I started to think, well, if I could be the best paper boy they ever had, maybe I could be the best waiter, the best engineer, the best lawyer, the best soldier. And so what I really took from that paper route through to the present is that it doesn't take a lot of extra effort to exceed expectations. But when you do exceed expectations, it changes everything. You can be the best at whatever you're going to do just based on a little bit of extra effort.
One more step. One more step. You know, sometimes when you carried a tray of popcorn, you knew if you could take one more step to get to the person up at the top that you might be able to come down and sell more popcorn. Never discount a part-time job. You never know where that part-time job will lead you. Take a chance. Grow with the company. Be a part of the company. Be dependable and be committed. Never, ever give up.
It took a long time to become a nurse, but at the end, failing just was not an option. I never expected the kind of rewards that it would have for my family. My own quality of life has changed so drastically that it's almost indescribable with words.
It's a whole lot better to take the chance than to live with regret of not trying. If I had not applied myself and just made that first initial step, I would probably still be carrying armoires up 2 flights of stairs for an ungrateful customer. My boss is incredibly grateful for the things I do.
Never give up. Never stop dreaming. I mean, there are dreams that you had before you were an adult that maybe you may have lost sight of. Maybe you failed, or maybe you're thinking about the finances. I had all those obstacles as well, but I didn't let them stop me, and I'm an RN now.
My name is Sakoni French, so now I'm the responsible engineer for the entire flight termination system for the SLS program.
I'm Megan Smith. I'm the U.S. Chief Technology Officer.
I'm Richard Smith. I run a division within FedEx Express.
My name is Cynthia Shea Hart, and I am the Executive Director for Serving Hope.
I'm Chuck Thomas III. I'm the Regional Director of External and Legislative Affairs for AT&T.
I'm Christine Harding, and I'm an architect.
I'm Ann Kramer in Atlanta, Georgia.
My name is Bill Dyer. I'm an intellectual property lawyer.
My name is Mark.
Intellectual property application.
My name is Louise Blay.